Hi folks, my name is Scott Page and this is my saxophone. Today I plan on trying to go through the basics of saxophone playing and how to get started on the saxophone. First of all, let me explain to you, there's a whole family of saxophones. There's a sopranino saxophone, which is very high, it's in E flat. There's a soprano saxophone, which is in B flat, which is exactly one octave above this, which is higher, an octave above. Then there's an alto saxophone, there's a tenor saxophone, a baritone, and a bass saxophone. So basically everything I'm going to talk about today you can apply to any of those saxophones that you're playing. If you're an alto player or a tenor player, it doesn't make any difference. So let's talk about the first thing. The instrument is very important, first of all, that it's working properly. If you've just gotten your saxophone, if it's a new one or used one, I suggest very, very important to go have the saxophone checked by a professional repairman. Because the problem is if they just leak, and I mean just a tiny, tiny bit, all of a sudden the horn becomes very difficult to play, and if you're just beginning, it makes it even harder to play, and then in turn, that turns it and makes it very frustrating, and then you lose interest in it. So basically what I'm hoping to do is in this next 30 minutes, get you excited about playing this instrument. It's a wonderful thing. You can have a great time, and hopefully by the end of the day we'll be playing the blues. All right, now, first and very most important thing is this thing here. See this right here called the mouthpiece. It basically all starts with the mouthpiece. Again, I recommend that you find somebody that really understands the saxophone that can show you to get the right mouthpiece. There are a series of mouthpieces you can buy. Number one, Rico has a great mouthpiece out there now that's very inexpensive, that plays real good, and they all play the same. The thing about saxophone mouthpieces is that they don't play the same, so it's very key that you get one that's easy to play. All right, now first thing is let me show you about this. Let me show you how to put the reed on. It's very important that the reed is on properly, because if it's not, then what happens? You don't make any sound. Now if you look at this mouthpiece, you see that this thing is called the tip, right here, tip. And there's an opening. If you notice, there's an arch, all right? Some mouthpieces are different openings and different opening and closing. I suggest you get one that's not too open to start with, and you get a reed that's maybe like a 1.5 or 2, something simple and easy to play. Now, when you put the reed on, it's very important that it's on straight. So you take, this is what they call the ligature right here. And the ligature is the thing that basically holds the reed on. So what you do is you slip the ligature on, you take this reed and you put it through. Now, what you want to do is be able to hold it up to the light, so that what happens is when you push this thing up, that it is exactly even with the tip. All right? And then you want to make sure that it's straight down here at the bottom, and it works perfectly on the flat part of the mouthpiece. Once it's in place, push the ligature on like that, and you tighten the screw. Now some ligatures have 2 screws on them. So what you want to do is you want to tighten it pretty tight and then kind of loosen it back a 1/4 of a turn. This lets the reed vibrate, which then allows the tone to happen. So once that thing is straight, so very, very important that it's straight, because if it's crooked, again, it makes the instrument play very difficult. It doesn't allow the reed to vibrate. It doesn't work. Okay, now the next key is you put the thing on the neck like this, right? All right. Now, the way this thing works is when you push the mouthpiece in or out, that's what tunes the instrument. It allows you to go sharper as you shorten, or as you push the mouthpiece on, the instrument pitch goes up. As you pull it out, the instrument goes down a little bit. That's how when you're tuning with the band or playing along with records or whatever you're doing, you want to try to get it so that you play in tune. And if you get this thing in the right place, then it's easy to play, so you can just relax and blow the instrument without trying to lip the pitch up. All right? So, again, number one rule, make sure the instrument plays well. Take it to a professional, get it done before you get started. Otherwise, it can be really frustrating and you're not going to want to play the instrument. All right. Now that we've talked a little bit about the horn and the mouthpiece and stuff, I'd like to talk about possibly letting you know about finding the right teacher. A teacher is very important for several reasons. Not only to teach you scales and teach you the rudiments and the basics of playing the instrument, but number one importance is to get somebody that really inspires you. Because for me, the key to playing the instrument, is to be inspired and be motivated and have fun with it. Sometimes you get teachers that don't give you enough motivation and stuff, and what happens is you end up not getting excited with the instrument, you end up putting it down, you get frustrated, and you don't want to play. So key element is to find the right teacher. So what you might want to do, number one, how do you find a right teacher? Question, where do I get the right teacher? Well, there's several ways that you can find this person. One is through word of mouth, through other saxophone players, through your teacher at school. Find out who's really good and somebody that really gets along good with kids or people or adults, whatever it is, somebody that has a real good rapport. You might try some different organizations like the Musicians Union. You might check with, there's an organization called NARIS. There's universities, but call around and find out who is the right guy. Don't just pick a teacher because somebody says, hey, I can play the saxophone, I'm going to teach you, because it's very important that they teach you the right things. The next thing I'd like to talk about is, number one, training your ears. I feel that it's very, very important to start ear training early. What does that mean? Number one is to start buying some saxophone records, and I'd like to suggest a few guys. Now, first of all, you got to understand my style and my technique is I come from the rock and roll school. I studied a certain amount of jazz and bebop and that kind of stuff, but I'm really a rock and roll guy from heart. So it's a soul kind of a playing, and a couple of the guys that I suggest to really listen to if you're interested in getting into the rock and roll field is number one, Junior Walker. Junior Walker is one of the finest saxophone players of all time. He happens to be my favorite guy. For several reasons. He plays very simple, he's very melodic, he has great time, and he plays really unique lines and figures. Another guy that'd be great to listen to is King Curtis, another great rock and roll saxophone player. So I suggest you pick up a couple of those records, and also, I can't forget David Sanborn. David Sanborn is probably one of the great saxophone players of all time to come along, I guess, in the 80s. He's the guy. Anyway, you start buying those records, and what I suggest is every day you get in your car, you get up, whatever it is, you throw those same records on. You don't need a variety of them, but try to take one record, one song, and listen to it over and over and over and over again. And when you're done listening to it over again, listen to it over and over again. And the reason for that is you're trying to train your ears to listen to the subtleties of what the player is about. The key to playing is being able to understand and play, have a unique style, and learning all the little subtlety things in somebody's style and sound. The sound is probably one of the most important things you can do. For myself, I'm the kind of saxophone player, I don't have a lot of chops, I never studied a lot of scales, I can't play every tune in every key. But what I did do is try to learn things that would allow me to get out there and work and create kind of an image and a style and everything. And it happened for myself, it worked very well. Some guys have a lot of chops, can practice scales and do all that kind of stuff. Not me. Never could do it, probably never will. But I tried to focus on one specific thing, and that was learning how to play kind of one note and making it happen. Okay, the next thing I'd like to talk about is, first of all, making that first tone. And what you do is your mouth here is what they call the embouchures, which is the muscles here in your face. Now, the rule of thumb is you've kind of, if you put your thumb on the end of the mouthpiece, and the distance that's about the size of your thumbnail is about the amount that you put into your mouth. You don't want to put it in your mouth too far, when you don't want to put too much on the end. So the idea is to get maybe so of a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch on the end of the mouthpiece, right? Okay. Now, when you do this, what you have to do is you got to remember to take your bottom lip and you roll it over your bottom teeth. See, like this. And your top teeth rest on the top of the mouthpiece. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is, first of all, no fingerings, no nothing. We're just going to put the mouth over the top of that thing, and then you're going to blow. Okay, so that's how you get the first note. You do it. Nope, can't hear you. Just kidding. Anyway, so. Now, if you're trying that, for the first time, you might notice that it might not sound as smooth. It might sound more like, right? And the reason for that is because your embouchure, these muscles here aren't strong enough. So the key is every day when you play, it's good to play those long tones because it's kind of like working out in the gym. As you start building those muscles, it gets a little stronger. Now, because what you want to do is get your embouchure where it's kind of tight, like a rubber band around this mouthpiece without choking it off. And so you'll notice that the tone will start getting much rounder and much warmer as the days go on. Long tones are the key to really starting to get your sound together fast. Now, a little later on, I'm going to touch on that a little bit more. But right now, what I want to do is start going in and showing you exactly how the fingerings and stuff work. First of all, if you notice, there's a series of keys. A lot of them which your hands and fingers may not be able to, push down, but they actually all work in combinations. Sometimes when you push several keys down, it actually opens and closes some of these other keys. And the way this works is, as the keys get closed, the more the pipe, if this thing was opened up, it's actually a pipe, the more it's closed, right, the lower the pitch goes. The more it's open, the higher the pitch goes. So that's what happens when you'll notice as I play up the scale. Now you noticed that when I hit that D key, which is D, and you said, well, you just said that when you close it, it goes down, and I went up. Well, what happens is there's a key here called an octave key. When you push that key, it starts the horn over again. It's exactly one octave above. An octave is basically, you'll hear the sound. Those are all the same notes, but they're exactly what they call one octave above. I'll touch on that a little bit further, but let's move on. So now that you've gotten your first tone, you played that open note, let's start with the first fingerings. Okay, the easiest thing to do is let's start in what they call the middle register of the horn. That's in the middle. When I go low register, which is down, that's more difficult to play because until the muscles get stronger to be able to hang on to the mouthpiece. So by starting in the middle of the horn, you have a better shot at least getting started. So the first thing to do is let's take these first three notes, these first three, and push these three down. No octave key, just the first three notes. That's called G. And later on I'll show you where that is on the staff. If you look over here on the little diagram, you'll see this is G. All right? Now, here's a G, and as you lift that, now let's play G. What does that sound like? Right? G. Now as I lift this one note, it goes to A, and now you'll notice that it'll go up a step. Right? And then when I lift the next key up, it goes to B, and it'll go up again. Okay, now that you've got those first three notes, now you should start memorizing it. So what I do is I sit there and I go, what's G? That's how you finger G. How do you finger A? That's how you finger A. B, B, G, G, A, B, B. How do you finger A? A. How do you finger G? G. So it's a good thing to visualize in your head. Think about those first three keys, your first three fingers, and memorize those first notes. G, A, B. Okay? Now, every day when you pick up your instrument, start playing long tones first. Because as you play the long tones, like I said earlier, it strengthens these muscles and it starts to the instrument will start getting easier and easier to play. You do this for a week and you're going to start noticing an amazing improvement. And it's real good to space your practicing out when you're first starting through the day. Because if you get really tired real quick, you'll start going, and nothing will start coming out. It's kind of the same thing as trying to do pull-ups. You know, after you do about 7 pull-ups, oh man, it gets a little harder, and after finally you get to a point where you can't do anymore because the muscles are fatigued. But if you start doing it every day, pushing it a little bit farther and a little bit farther, the muscles will get stronger, you'll be able to start playing the instrument much easier. So, the key is, let's start with long tones. So this is how I would do it. Take the biggest breath you can, right? Fill up the lungs and the diaphragm, and hold the note until you can't stand it. And the next note. next note. All right, cool. Now that we played those notes, now you got to understand when you're playing music, a lot of times it's simplicity can be very key to great players and great melodies. Now, what I want to stress to you is you don't necessarily have to know the entire instrument, know all the keys, all the chromatics, meaning all the different half tones and everything. We can start playing melodies and start playing songs based on just those 3 notes. I think it's very important that you start using your ears and start taking melodies and things that you know, like nursery rhymes or different styles of things. So even with these 3 notes, I can go. Those are those very 3 notes. Now, one of the things, now let's do one thing. I'm going to show you how you can take a few notes and then start playing a song. Now you notice we had G, A, and B. Now, if you look here, you notice this little small key right here. All right. Now, when you play this B key, but you put your finger over both of those keys so that you're pushing them down, that gives you a flat. That's called B flat. Now, here's the difference. There's G scale now. Right? Now, let me flat that key by covering both the fingers. It's once again, with the regular B natural. Now with the B flat, flat meaning lowering. Now, that's 3 notes, no hand on the rest of the instrument, and with that, we can start playing some tunes. And first of all, we can sit there and play what they call the blues. And the blues is made up of 3 different chord changes. Chord changes you don't need to know about right now, but later on we'll touch on this and you'll start learning about it. So I'm going to turn the band on. Let's start the band. Now see, this is what the blues, see, it's kind of like the thing I did in the beginning. Yep, see, hear it? Now you're going to hear the chord change. That's called the 4 chord, right? And back to the 1 chord, right? Cool. Now it goes to the 5 chord, right? And then back to the 4 chord, and then back to the 1 chord. Now notice, just the 3 notes. I'm going to play the little tune. Simple. Blues, and the same notes will work. Real simple. Right? Now see how that works now? You can even make it simpler. Real simple. Real simple, see? Now the key is dynamics, because I can take the same note. Simple, see? Got a vibe. I threw a C in there. You'll get to that. Now, see, you can sit there and play the blues. It's a lot of fun just learning those few notes. Now, let's take that same blues, and the only thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 more note to this, and you'll see what you'll be able to do. And that's adding this first key. You still hold these 3 down. You still have the B flat, right? That's what we're doing. And then you hold down, you just add this 1 key. That's called F. All right? Now, I'm going to play and just use those 4 notes and play the blues. Right? Now we still got the blues. Now we've got F, G, right? A, B flat, and now we're going to add one more note, and that's C. And that's when you push down this middle finger. So you go C, B flat, A, G, and F. With that, man, you can play with almost any band around when you're playing in the key of F. I'll teach you about keys later on, but here we go. Okay, now, if you notice when I was playing, we played those three notes, but you notice there was a lot of different kinds of attitudes, different feelings on that. What that's called is phrasing and dynamics. Now, what are dynamics? Dynamics mean when you can either play really soft or real loud. You notice the different feeling. Now, that means that you can take those same three notes and put a lot of heat or a lot of feeling on it and make it work within the piece. It makes you sound like you know a lot more than you know. It's a great trick. It's something that actually means a lot, and it's something we can do. So, number one, let's talk about the different types of things that you can do, the different kinds of effects you can make. Now, one of the important ones is learning about tonguing. And tonguing is, when I say tonguing, is when you go, you'll notice the notes go toot, 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 toot. And what you're actually saying is ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. You say that. Your tongue does exactly the same thing as I'm saying it. Ta-ta-ta. Now that's tonguing. So when I say I'm going to tongue those same three notes, it's... And that was tonguing. All right. The other thing you might have heard is like what they call flutter tonguing, is when I'm going... Right? Gives it a great feel, makes it work real good with rock and roll, and a great kind of a vibe. Okay, let me see. We got flutter tonguing, we got that kind of tonguing, and then you might have effects. You might have noticed when I played, instead of just playing that A note, where instead of going, I went. What I'm doing is just kind of hitting the horn, slapping that thing, and making it have a bunch of noise. In rock and roll, that's great because you go. Now, those are the same notes that you learned. All I did was go A, 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 B, flat, G, see? And real loud and boisterous with a lot of muscle. Changes the feeling. Rock and roll is all based around feeling and simplicity. The key is keep it simple, but keep it with a lot of heart and a lot of soul. Cool. Now that we've finished playing the blues and stuff and showing how dynamics and different types of styles such as flutter tonguing and all that stuff, we talked about mouthpiece, we talked about the instrument. One of the key components to playing an instrument is scales, and there's a variety of different types of scales. There's chromatic scales, diatonic scales, all different types of scales. What you'll need to do on that is pick up a book and get into that. Now, you can go down to any music store and you can usually find books on beginning scales. Now, first of all, now what we've learned is the first five notes that I've showed you, which was F, G, A, B flat, which is that half key, and the C, are the components of almost a complete F scale. Those are the first five notes of a major scale starting on your F note. Now, what we need to do is go F to F. That's the full octave. So what I want to do now is teach you the rest of those notes. So that way you'll have one complete scale that you'll be able to start practicing. And once you learn that scale, every day take that scale, play your whole notes, and begin to start working on and developing your embouchure and getting your playing. So here we go. Here's where we're F. This is the first note. It goes F, G, which you remember, right? A, B flat, C. Now what happens is, if you notice back here, this key here, when I remembered earlier, was the octave key. You need to push the octave key because you're going up, and then you finger all the fingers, all three fingers down here is these three here, and the three up on the top, and this octave key on the side. You can probably look at the diagram. That's D. So now you've got F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and then if you lift up this key here, it goes to E, and then back to F. Now that's one whole octave of scale, and this is what it sounds like. So, now the key to do this is you should play this every day, play it very slow, and try to play it with some kind of evenness. And what I do is I count my foot here, and I pat it so that it's a nice slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can go down. Well, now that we've just finished learning playing the F scale, what I want to do is, because the fun part of playing is being able to start to play and learning to play the blues. Now, we played the blues earlier in what is one key. Now, bands play in a variety of different keys, and you're going to learn that as you go on. But what I want to show you is taking those same 4 or 5 notes that I showed you earlier, and what we're going to do is play it in different keys. And what I'm trying to do is train your ears to hear the different key changes and learn how to take those same notes but adjust them on the horn to the different scales. So what you're going to have to do is refer to the book, and it'll show you each of the different fingerings for each of these different keys. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to play along with our fine band, the drum machine and the sequencer here, and go through the blues, and I'm going to show you exactly playing the same intervals, the same notes, except changing the key on the instrument. Hit it, maestro. All right, now we're going to play the blues. This is the original key that we started playing in. And here it is, and these are those same 4 notes, right? G, A, and B flat. Yep. Don't forget your dynamics. Now we're going to go up to a different key. We're going to go up a whole step. I'm playing basically the same intervals, just in a different key. I still have G, A, and C this time. Now we're going to move up again. We're going to move up a couple steps here. Same intervals, same everything. Now if you notice, you can see how it sounds different because of the register of the horn. Then when you get wild, yeah. Same 3 notes. So you get a lot of attitude and a lot of mileage out of those. Okay, so that's it. Let's turn that off now. All right, now you got a kind of a rough idea of basically how music changes keys, different pans play in different keys. Now what you're going to have to do is refer to the book and also go out there and find some books that are directly built for teaching you scales. There's a bunch of them that will actually show you the fingerings. You can get them at any music store, virtually any music store. Let me touch on one thing. One of the things you want to do is definitely look for stores. If you're a brass player, there are specific stores and things that are really related to brass instruments. Those are the stores you're going to start finding the right types of books for these things. So let's see, let's kind of recap. Number one, we talked about the mouthpiece, we talked about the horn, we talked, number one, the importance of making sure that the horn works and it doesn't leak. Now you got to remember, when I talk about that leaking, I'm talking about very little tiny minute leaks change the whole dynamics of the horn. Then we went in, we talked about learning how to play the blues. We've learned to play the 3, 4, 5 very simple notes that can allow you to start playing music right away. And I stress the fact that don't worry about it. Get records. Get any record you can. Get the radio. Every day you pick up your horn, try to train your ears to fit the right notes into the record. They'll be in all different keys, but if you do that every day and start listening. Then the other key element was to go back and make sure you start getting some, listen from the masters. Buy the records of David Sanborn, Junior Walker, Fathead Newman, Lockjaw Davis, Ben Whips. There's a million great saxophone players out there. Begin to study them, take them, listen to them every day. If you're driving in your car, put that tape in there, listen to it every day, because what you're trying to do is train your ears. And every day, practice your scales, but also throw the radio on and start practicing. So, basically, I think we touched about as much as we can talk about in this first lesson. And so I think what we'll do is let's go out with the blues and let's rock one more time. And good luck. Take care. Bye.